Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. My name is James Fazzani. I'm the ITT Partnerships Manager for EQ. In a previous life, I was a science teacher and assistant head, but I'm here now to discuss this concept of the golden thread pre-ITT. e-Qualitas are the largest private skit in the UK. We're proud to have been re-accredited, and this is our mission statement. It's to educate the educators of the future. This is a very brief summary of our curriculum intent, which is to train teachers who are confident, intellectually curious, innovative and adaptable, and cognizant of the roles of a teacher. But we're a little bit more than just teach training, which I'll come on to as we go through this, but we're all aware of the golden thread being the ITT year, 2 ECT years, and then the suite of MPQs that follow that. But we're trying to engage with people earlier on in their career and support them on a journey to gaining QTS. I think if you read around the golden thread, there's sort of different interpretations of what its aim is. Some of them talk about developing practice and stronger teachers, and that's all true. But I think really the behind it's to attract people to the profession and then also to retain them, to give them that career pathway and give them those extra years of support during their training year. I started teaching in 2001, and I think I remember the article in The Guardian saying that 30% of teachers are leaving in the next 5 years, and I think that same article comes out every year. It hasn't really changed, has it? I don't know who they poll, but it's always the same, that this challenge has been there for a very long time. I want to talk you through a scenario, and I've met a few people today who've got very similar stories of colleagues in their school, and the scenario is of a student who leaves post-16 and maybe they come from a family where they can't afford to go to university, or they're anxious about going off to university. You could support a colleague like that, somebody from your own MAT or somebody from the wider community, by utilising the levy funding pot to put them through a range of courses, which I will come on to as we go through this, where they would be supported, trained and earn a salary whilst learning on the job. So by the end of the courses that they follow, you actually end up with an ECT who's probably got around 4 to 5 years experience in your school already. That ECT is going to be far more robust than a graduate that went off to uni, did a PGCE, and has turned up at your school having never met your children before, maybe doesn't know your context very well, and they will have to go through the teething problems that all ECTs go through, things like learning how to use the photocopier, where are the toilets, how do I pay for lunch, all of that stuff that can get in the way of the first 6 to 8 weeks of your ECT year. And I believe that someone that's trained this way is going to be far more, I call it sticky recruitment. They're going to hang around for a lot longer and be settled at the very beginning of their ECT journey, rather than somebody going through those sort of stresses and panics. And it's not much longer than leaving sixth form, going to uni and doing a PGCE, but they won't have any debt, and they would have earned a salary all the way along. And other than paying their salary, and they're doing a job for that salary, it doesn't really cost you anything because you're utilising levy funds as you go. So, have you, as a trust, considered your own workforce, people that are already in your building, whether they're academic mentors, people volunteering to read with children, people in your back office support, administrators, anybody with a degree, or indeed anybody without a degree? There is now a pathway for somebody to work their way through and actually achieve QTS. The suite of courses that we've got really dovetail nicely together. There's lots of sort of levels of course for different entry points, whether it's somebody who's a career changer, somebody that's just been a TA for the first time, or somebody that's already acting in an unqualified teaching role. There's a different entry point for lots of different people. So these are the people that you could support in your schools. I don't think many MATs are that great at interacting with their own alumni, particularly if you're a MAT that has sixth form leavers. Are we reaching out to them, talking about career opportunities that are in your school? Many schools have got an Investors in People badge up on their reception. Are we writing to our alumni to let them know that there's a fee-free salaried teacher training opportunity in a school that they went to, or a school within the trust? A lady I spoke to earlier had a school leaver, start in a primary school, be a TA, then work her way through, and she's now a senior teacher in the school that she actually went to. Another one that had a young lady come in and support in food tech. She's now the head of tech. But she probably took her 10 years to do it because she did a degree part-time and all the rest of it. But there are these stories out there, and I just wonder whether we do it enough. So the way you can support these people is via recruitment. It is sometimes internal recruitment. It doesn't always mean putting an advert out and finding people from the wider community. We recruit for schools sometimes, but around 80% of the people that do our teacher training courses are already working in their school, and they're nominated by their head teacher because they can see that potential in them. So how can you set yourself apart from all the other MATs out there, all your neighbouring schools? There is still quite a lot of reactive recruitment in schools. So-and-so's resigned, quickly put an advert out. So-and-so's going on maternity, what are we going to do? And we very often don't look internally, say, who have we got that could step up into that role, take on a teaching apprenticeship position, or put them on another course that would allow you to cover that vacancy without spending money on advertising. That sometimes works, and it's great when it does, but quite often it doesn't work, and it's money out of the door that you've spent on an advert, and all of the HR process of managing the applicants that come in, and then you don't appoint. So I think we need to be dynamic in the market. Schools need to use every opportunity that they've got in front of them, every avenue, every bit of funding that's out there, and engaging with all these different pockets in the community. And you can do that with e-Qualitas by looking at all of our courses. So we are a provider of NCFE cash, so NCFE bulk cash, if any of you know cash as an organisation, so they've co-branded it now. And we have courses that are effectively teaching assistant and HLTA courses. They've got new names around supporting children in school and working with children in school. But we offer those. They're online courses. They're level 1, level 2 and level 3 courses. The level 2 and level 3 are 11 modules long and take a year, and the level 1 and level 2, they're a diploma or an award. They're a little bit shorter. They're not funded by the levy. They would be paid for sometimes by the trainee themselves, sometimes by the school, but they're not an awful amount of money. The highest one is about £1,000 for that course. And they're really to support people that have either been a TA for a while but haven't had any formal training, and it would help formalise what they do in school, or it could be for new recruits, new graduates that are coming in as a graduate TA, and you want to put them on a journey to becoming a teacher in the future. We then have the level 3 TA apprenticeship. Our first cohort of that will be in April next year. It's £5,000 from the apprenticeship levy to pay for that course, and it's 15 months. Most of it is online with tutor visits when they come into school and assess the TA as they go. And that is for people, as I say, who are currently a TA or joining you as a TA. This one is the one that there's been most excitement about. And it's not live just yet. The standards for it will be released in September 23, and so by the time it's written and live will probably be September 24, so it is a little way ahead. But this is a level 5 associate teacher apprenticeship. It's designed to be above the role of a HLTA, but below that of an unqualified teacher, and it would actually provide the participant with a foundation degree after 2 years. Again, funded by the levy, salaried by you in school. There's no detail about any bursaries or salary grants for this role yet because it's so new. But they can act as a kind of co-teacher or split classes and things like that. They can take part in parents' evening, do assessments. So it's just, it's in design. There's a trailblazer group at the moment. So the full details of that are not available. But everybody I talk to in a trust is keen on this route for people without a degree. They've got excellent staff in their schools who would be a great teacher, and the barrier is that they never went and did a degree. So they can do that in school. It's 24 months. They would need to do a top-up at the end of between 60 and 120 credits to convert it from a foundation degree to a bachelor's. They could do that with the OU or another online provider. So it might take them 3 years by the time they've topped up, but they're not going to have to leave, go to university, get any debt. They can still work in your school and do that. And then they would be ready for the next one. I'll skip that. I'll come back to it in a minute. So the next one is teacher training. So they could go straight on to the level 6 teaching apprenticeship, which is about 80% of our trainees do the apprenticeship because of the funding and the levy that comes with it. As a SCIT, we do offer tuition fee and salaried school direct, but most MATs have access to or are part of a teaching school alliance or a SCIT of their own. So not very many use us for that. It's about 20% of our trainees are school direct, either salaried or tuition fee. So it's mostly the apprenticeship. We do also offer SKEs, subject knowledge enhancement courses, which are for people who have a degree in a non-related subject. They want to train in maths, but they've got a degree in business and finance, for instance. So it's close, but it's not quite there. They could do that. They're free if it's a requirement to do one as part of your teacher training programs. If your provider stipulates you need an SKE, they're free. We do also sell them commercially to schools, and some schools are starting to use them as a CPD tool. We've broken them down into individual modules. So you could look at a cover supervisor who works predominantly in maths or a TA that's weak in English and handpick a couple of modules from the SKE to kind of upskill their knowledge in that area. I think we're probably the only provider that's done it that way with SKEs, to break it down as a modular option. Subjects are changing for us. Currently this year, we offer English, Maths to Sciences and Primary. From September 23, we're adding in History, Geography, PE to those subjects at secondary. So that's what's coming online. And then we also offer assessment only. It's open to pretty much any subject, unless it's a really, really rare foreign language where we might not have a tutor registered with us in that language, but we can always train somebody. And assessment only, I'm sure you all are aware of it, is for experienced teachers who've got 2 years experience in at least 2 settings, and then they can achieve QTS in around 12 weeks. So we provide the assessment only route as well. So these are the 3 courses that you can use the apprenticeship levy for. If you don't have levy, or you run out, or you're very good at spending it, there is additional levy that you can get your hands on. It's called co-funding, and it's 95% of the cost of any course. We would invoice the DFE on your behalf effectively for that, and then you as a trust would pay the 5%. So if it was a teacher apprentice, you'd pay £450 and we charge you monthly, so it's about £32 a month or something like that. So you can get extra money from the big corporate beasts that don't spend their levy, so Barclays, etc. That's where that money comes from. This has gone up to £27,000 as the maximum tax-free bursary for salaried schools direct. And the salary grants for apprenticeships, which is slightly different, has now gone up to £18,000. So if you take on an apprentice in maths, computing, chemistry or physics, you can use £9,000 of your levy to pay for the training, and you would also receive £18,000 in a salary grant directly to the host school that would contribute to their unqualified salary. So if you're an England and Wales school, unqualified salaries are currently about 19.5, so it's going to cost you £1,500 to have a maths teacher or a science teacher who can teach a 70% timetable, plus some on costs on their salary. Geography and MFL is 16,000 salary grant. Biology and DT is 11,000 in a salary grant, and English finally gets some money. It's 6,000 in a salary grant. Sadly, still nothing for primary on the apprenticeships. But if an apprentice is 25 or under, you don't pay national insurance on their salary. So that represents a couple of grand saving on the salary bill, even at primary. So that's a kind of bonus that not a lot of people are aware of. So there are a third of the ITT providers not been accredited currently. We'll see how that changes over the next while, which is about 5,000 ITT spaces that are at risk. So recruitment and retention, it's not going to go away. So being dynamic in the workforce that you've got and using as many tools as you've got to support that are really, really important.